Today we're doing TT Combat Sandstorm buildings. You see that first shot there, 7 buildings I've put together to make a good 3x3 battlefield to play Star Wars Legion on. So there's the kit we're showing today, the double dwelling, and you've seen there the instructions downloaded onto my tablet, which is how you download every kit from TT Combat. Easy thing to do. Any kit you go on, you can look on their page, and there's a little quick downloadable instruction sheets, give you full sizings, that kind of thing. It's like all the TT kits, it's laser cut MDF with grey board, like a little cardboard stuff. You get a sheet of that in there as well, and you just put it together with, like I've seen there, watered down PVA glue. So initial thoughts, I've built quite a lot of the TT Combat buildings already. I've tended to buy the ruined ones because I do a lot of 40k with them, and look, I think they're fantastic, excellent value for money, but you do pay for what you get. So in terms of the tolerances of these kits, they are a little bit erratic compared to some other of the manufacturers out there where you've got some real high tolerances, but you also pay a significantly more price. You can see me there having to take a side panel off to literally force that piece in, whereas some of the pieces just slotted in really easily. So do bear that in mind when you're building these kits. Built the first few of the buildings that were off camera with my son, because we're getting into Star Wars Legion together, and that's why we went for TT, when we were just putting together a very, very quick, cheap, simple sort of Tatooine inspired board for Star Wars. He was helping me out with the buildings and found them immensely frustrating, because obviously as a kid you do, because it's you know, not got the same tolerances that the model kits have, and some of the other ones that he's maybe built that, you know, cost substantially more. So do bear that in mind when you're doing it. But you see me there, and to do, don't be afraid of using glue. You see what I keep doing as well is going into the inside of the building every now and then and smearing some extra glue up the joins. It's just a trick to be aware of. One advantage that I think the TT Combat buildings do have from some others is because of that, maybe it's the laser they use, I don't quite know how these things work necessarily, but they don't seem to come covered in the sort of laser burn muck that a lot of buildings do, which would mean you'd have to wipe them down first before sticking them together so that the glue would actually function. That doesn't seem to be an issue with the TT Combat buildings, and I have found that with other manufacturers, so maybe that's a side effect of the tolerances being slightly looser. I'm not entirely sure, but they do go together really easily once you've got over the fact that sometimes you have to force pieces, sometimes pieces will let you fall out. Trick to get around that if you are just, you know, starting out and you've not built a lot of these, is usually a bit of masking tape on the corner pieces, so when you actually assemble it, you just run a bit of masking tape down just to hold the building together while it sets, and then that'll come off without damaging the building afterwards. So it's just an easy one. And again, you see me here pushing the pieces out of the MDF panels. Some kits won't like that. If it's a tight tolerance kit, make sure you're using a hobby knife to cut it out, or what you can do is just use a coin or something, and just something, you know, metal to push where the joint is, rather than using your thumb, which will probably hit both sides of the wood and can damage it. So there's a couple of tricks to get to. But you can see here we're kind of flying through the model. Obviously it's at 8 speed, we will do, but this kit took about 45 minutes to build. So not actually a large amount of time, and it is a fairly big building. And the value of these buildings as well is quite incredible, because this one was about 14 quid at full price from TT Combat. So you are getting a big chunky building for not a lot of money. I'm not doing a great amount of detail on these kits today, because like I say, this was because we wanted to start playing Star Wars Legion, and I wanted to put a board together very quickly. But you can obviously go to the nth degree with these and do a lot of detail, a lot of extras, a lot of add-ons. Now I've chosen not to do that because, again, for speed, but we are in a position that, you know, you can go back to it later. So as you see, every stage I'm doing here, making sure that put plenty of glue on, especially with the extra details you're putting on at the sides there. Put the glue, when you push the piece on, you will see a bit of glue will come out the sides at the seams. It's important to get that off. You'll see me every time just running the brush down the side of those pieces. Get that off before it sets, because what you don't want to do with these kits is having big beads of glue coming out of the joins and all over the place, because, you know, it's going to look scruffy. And look, yes, we are doing a quick build, but what we don't want to do is make it blinding obvious we've cut corners and we're doing something, you know, slapdash. So here's the stage where the real element of, I suppose, the cheapness of the models, that's not the right phrase, but you know, in terms of physical value is coming out. Getting to the roof stage. Now I've had a friend who's put together one of these buildings, which is you know, the exact same one, and he described the roofs to me as an absolute nightmare. I built the first couple of these, and I would say exactly the same. So I'm building them slightly differently. There's meant to be a little disc at the top that holds all these spars together, and then when you put the roof on, you've got little tabs. You'll see those little cuts around the bottom, and you push them in. I found that just took absolutely on. So what I'm doing is I'm cutting the tabs off, as you'll see there, and I've left the central pin out of the roof so the spars are a little closer together. And inspired by the Mandalorian, you know, Star Wars things and desert buildings, I'm going to do something a little bit different with the roof. Now this is just something that add-on that I've done to make it, I think, look a bit better. So plenty of PVA glue onto the roof spars, and then what I'm going to do once I've got the actual roof on, I'm not going to push it into the tabs like it should do around there, so the slots, because that's the bit that takes the time. Probably takes longer to do that properly than it does to build the entire building. What I'm going to do is place it on, put it roughly where they should be, and then you'll see me in a second cut out some bandage. It's a nail bandage from a first aid kit that happens to have lying around, and then a real watered PVA mix. Water it down, probably 50-50, slightly more. Soak the bandage in the PVA. Squeeze a lot of it out, you don't want too much going on to the top of the building. And then spread the bandage out and across over the roof, and basically seal the roof down with the PVA and the bandage. You'll see the buildings when they're completed at different stages of that. So on some of them I've left a lot of the roof beam showing, some I've completely covered them. And I think that's something that you see every Mandalorian episode, and you see the desert buildings, there's bits of cloth hanging off the roof, there's bits of stuff there. So it kind of fits in with that decaying desert kind of effect. And you see here, that's the building complete, and you see the roof cloths have hardened quite tightly. And all I've done is give them a quick spray after that with just a black army paint spray. Use any black spray you want. And I've been really thorough with that, so every single centimetre of this building has black spray. There's going to be no wood showing through, nothing like that. After that, I bought a cheap desert sand spray paint. This was £2 from Boys, if you've got them near you. Again, I'm northern, southern place, just pick any old spray. And then I've used the Citadel Wraith bone. So after the black undercoat, the Wraith bone was just sprayed from above, mostly around the cloth and tarpaulins, and then the sand was sprayed again from above, just trying to leave some gaps and cracks showing through, because you want this to look dirty with, you know, a little bit run down. And you can see the three colours I've used there. It's not really precious what you use, but it was just a beastie brown from Flames of War paint, or a Vallejo one. Then I've used a bleach bone colour and a Retributor armour, which is actually a GW paint. So then I'm just dry brushing up the roof sections just nice and quickly. I'm not covering all of it. I'm literally leaving some of the black showing through, some of the white showing through, just to make them look like real raggedy roof coverings, just again to give it a visual difference. Then the Retributor armour, I'm just quickly going over the doorways, the metallic sections, so the grills, and then the actual, any of the roof dome that is still showing, so the actual PPC, just some little details in the roof there. Just so there's, again, some different visual details, showing the roof is made of something different, really, so it's just to add a little bit of variance. Then with the bone at the end, it's only just off the sand colour that I'm using, just to, again, put a few highlights onto the building, and also tie the building together, because I've gone slightly over some of the tarpaulin sections and there. So really, really quick and easy. So the entirety of building this building was about 45 minutes. The actual painting side, 5 minutes to spray, a couple minutes to do. But what it does is it gives a very, very nice, dirty tattooing effect that you can go back to. And that's the beauty of these buildings. Cheap, effective and quick to do. So really happy.